Hello students, and in this video we're going to learn how to write a clear, confident claim that will go at the end of your introductory paragraph.
So this is your thesis statement, this is your big idea, this is what your whole paper is about, okay? The second part of your introduction. The first part is your hook, you're grabbing the reader's attention, now you're writing your thesis statement.
So the thesis statement or a claim is a fancy way of saying, what's the point? In one sentence, you tell your audience, what is the point of this writing? And
This
that's
paper
all it
is about. This article, this essay is about.
And you're going to say that in a more sophisticated way. So you basically, this paper is about blank, then you're just going to rewrite that sentence into a more sophisticated way of saying it.
Right.
So a good thesis statement or claim will do the following things. First of all, it's going to flow with the rest of your paragraph. It's going to be the last sentence of your introduction, but it shouldn't be choppy. It should feel like it belongs as the next sentence in the paragraph. And that can be tricky sometimes, especially if you pre-write your thesis statement. But that's just going to take some practice to getting it to flow into the paragraph, just like any good writing would.
And it's okay to pre-write your thesis statement to get the rest of your ideas of what your paper is going to be about, and then just go back in and tweak that pre-written thesis statement to make it flow with the rest of your introduction.
The thesis statement should clearly tell the reader what the paper is about. I mean, it should be so clear that if you only read the thesis statement, you would know exactly what the paper said.
A lot of times when I read other people's work, like when I read an article in Times Magazine, I read the introduction, and when I get to what the thesis is, then I decide, do I want to continue reading this article or do I not want to continue reading this article? Because the thesis is going to tell me whatever else the author is going to tell me about, and if I want to learn about what the author says, then I continue on reading, and if I don't care what the author's thesis is, then I just stop reading the article and move on to another piece.
Oftentimes when I grade papers, I'll just read the last sentence of the introduction first to make sure the thesis statement is there. The thesis statement should be a statement and not a question. It should never be like, should we do this, question mark?
Sometimes we've been seeing this year too, a lot of people are making their thesis into a question. Don't ever make your thesis a question. It's a statement, okay? It's a very clear statement. It's a strong statement.
A thesis statement will oftentimes list the reasons in a concise way, like in the body paragraph there's going to be 3 reasons why this is happening, and then in the thesis statement those 3 reasons will be listed, but they're not explained. I'm going to give you an example of this in a second. They're just listed, they're not explained, so it's still very concise.
And you don't always have to list, but some people find that helps them when they're in the beginning process of writing a thesis and learning how to write a strong thesis.
A thesis statement is always 1 sentence long. You occasionally will see it with 2, but I think for us, 1 sentence is what we're going to look for, never more than that.
Don't make it a run-on sentence.
In 1 sentence. It should be the end of the introduction, the last sentence of your paragraph, and it should have some confidence to it and how it sounds, like there is no doubt. That's why a question doesn't work, because it doesn't sound confident. If you're asking, you're telling. So you should be like this cat in the mirror where the lion is the reflection. You're like,
growl back at that lion.
Strong.
You're that little kitty, and you're saying, I know what my thesis is, and I'm not going to listen to what that lion says back to me.
Okay, so here's some examples. These are all thesis statements that I've written for the purpose of this video, and I'm going to read them to Mrs. VJ, and then she's going to tell me if she can tell what my paper is going to be about, if this was all she could see.
Right.
The United States should live by the words of their founding father and help the Syrian patriots overthrow their tyrant ruler, Bashar al-Assad.
So the whole paper is about how the United States should help the Syrian people overthrow their current government. Yep, the whole rest of the paper is about that.
Is that clear?
That's very clear.
Is it confident?
That's confident. It's clear. I know what the rest of the paper is going to be about. I can decide if I want to continue reading or not.
The style of trench warfare contributed greatly to the poor emotional state of soldiers fighting in World War I.
So this whole paper is about soldiers who fought in World War I and what their emotional state was as a result of fighting in the trenches.
So it's going to talk about trenches, what the trenches were like probably, and how it affected soldiers.
And how when the soldiers came home from World War I, what their emotional state was.
Yep. The people of Ellington should help the citizens of Haiti by donating money, raising awareness, and volunteering their time.
Now, this thesis statement is going to be all about how Ellington should help Haiti, and because this is kind of listed as a listed thesis statement, I can tell that in the body paragraph, it's going to talk about donating money, raising awareness, and volunteering time.
So I'm going to probably have 1 paragraph about
donating money,
1 paragraph about awareness, and 1 about volunteering time.
And notice though on the 2 thesis statements above that, notice that the other 2 thesis statements aren't lists. You do not have to have a list as a thesis statement. Sometimes you can, you don't always have to.
And then the final one, Thomas Jefferson is a hypocrite because he went against his beliefs on slavery, made government larger, and pretended to be a man of the people.
And there again, we have a listed thesis statement. So I can go and I could say, okay, this paper is about Jefferson clearly being a hypocrite, and it's going to focus on 3 big reasons for why Thomas Jefferson is a hypocrite. Okay.
But
Again,
note, but
you don't
notice
always
here
have
too.
to make a list.
Notice here too in the list, it doesn't say how or why we should donate money. It doesn't say what kind of awareness you'd be raising. It doesn't explain it. It's very concise. It just
Right.
says this is the topic.
It doesn't say how he made the government larger or pretended to be a man of the people. It just simply states that they are not run-on sentences. They're
So-
very clear.
So these are 4 examples of a thesis statement, and this would be the last sentence of the introduction on these
Yeah.
papers, depending on whatever the topic would be. Some of them are more argument style, like this one here is an argument. It should.
Yep.
This one is more of an informational. It's just telling me about World War I and trench warfare. This one is a
Is-
argument. This one is an argument too. So you can see that there's different ways to write a thesis for argument or for informational.
And you can, you could take this, either one of these, the Thomas Jefferson one or the Ellington one, you can easily just tweak the wording to make them not an argument. You could tell me all about how people in Ellington are helping without making it an argument at all. So
just
just by
should
rewording your
to are.
thesis, right.
or
and-
Thomas Jefferson or the people of Ellington are helping the citizens of Haiti by, and just
Mhm.
reporting on what they're doing.
Thomas Jefferson,
That one I think has
yeah,
to be an
that
argument.
one has to be an argument.
Okay, so let's wrap up like these kittens over here. We have a
All
cat
wrapped
themed
up in
video.
their little blankets.
A mastery paper has a clear claim, or a thesis, depending on what you want to call it, that tells the reader what the paper is about. It's usually always one sentence, the last line of the introduction. It has a confident tone, and it doesn't have to, but it can list the reasons to follow.
Okay, so this is what we want to see you write when you write your introduction. Okay.